Are you making these 3 mistakes every morning? What's going on, people? My name is Zulfikar and welcome to my YouTube, which is about equipping you with the tools you need to go to war with yourself and a society fighting to keep you weak. I talk about self-improvement in the fields of mind, body and soul to help you overcome the conditioning and programming of the degenerate society we find ourselves in today, so that you can fashion for yourself a life of fulfillment, meaning, direction and spiritual consciousness. If you like the sound of that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can get more content on these topics. Now back to today's video on the 3 mistakes that you are likely making every morning. So you've heard the saying, win the morning and you win the day. So let me start by asking you a question. Are you winning your morning? Are you even aware that you're winning or losing your morning? Or are you like most people who function on autopilot? They wake up like zombies, they don't think about anything, and they're just starting to work automatically on autopilot. They're just letting things happen the way they are happening, and whatever happens happens, and there's absolutely no control about what's going on. And that's a problem. It's a really big problem, because when you wake up, your mind is at its most impressionable state. You're basically transitioning from the unconscious to the conscious mind, and this is one of the most powerful periods you will have in your day, because what you expose your mind to during this period has a very high chance of slipping straight through your conscious to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind is what dictates your behavior. And do this long enough and things will start to become a habit, and once it becomes a habit, it's not just going to have an impact on your mind, but it's also going to have an impact on your biology, on your hormones, on your reality, and obviously your personality, which then, like I said, is going to have an impact on your reality. So let's get right into it and start with mistake number 1. Mistake number 1 is checking your phone first thing in the morning. Now think about this. You're hardly awake, you're still rubbing your eyes, which keep opening and closing, you're half yawning, you're half stretching, and without thinking you reach for the phone. Before you know it, you're scrolling through Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, you're checking your emails, you're checking your missed calls, you're checking your messages, and on and on and on. What you're actually doing is, without you even realizing, you are damaging your mind first thing in the morning. Now this is so dangerous, because this isn't just a harmless habit, it's an addiction. Because what you've got to realize and remember is that your phone was designed to make you an addict. The pings, beeps, flashes, buzzers, the red notifications that you see in all of these apps, every single one of these things was deliberately designed to make you an addict. Why do they want you to be addicted? Because then you will spend more time on their platforms, and the more time you spend on their platforms equals more dollars and more profit for them. So how do all of these things make you an addict? Because they exploit the same hormones that is affected by drugs, alcohol, nicotine and gambling. And it's a hormone you've all heard of. It's called dopamine. Because you see, when you hear the bing, when you get a message, when you see the big red notification, when somebody comments on a photo or gives you a like or shares a response, what's actually happening is that you are receiving a dopamine hit. And what dopamine does is make you feel very happy for a brief period of time. And because of that, it makes you repeat the same behavior again and again and again, so that you keep getting the dopamine hit, so you keep getting that small feeling of happiness over and over again. And before you know it, you'll become addicted. Now, one of the adverse effects of that is that when you make a comment, when you share a photo, when you send a message, if you don't get a response and now you're addicted to dopamine, the reaction is one of negativity. You get upset, you feel hurt, you feel betrayed, ignored, insulted, and angry. And then the self-chatter starts to flow through your mind. Why didn't they respond? Is something wrong with me? How dare they? Did I say something wrong? So why is it? Why do you start questioning yourself? Why do you feel that way? Well, it's because you didn't get the dopamine hit that your brain is used to getting. This addiction also has an impact on your focus. Have you noticed that you might struggle these days to concentrate on things? Maybe you've been diagnosed with ADHD. Some people get so addicted that if they don't get their shot of dopamine, they become depressed. And unfortunately, this is happening to more and more people. So tip number one, stay away from the phone. Turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off your phone, and at least for the first hour of your day, do not touch your phone. Mistake number two that you're probably making in the morning is watching the news. Now, this is a habit that has been going on for decades. Times have changed, the method of delivery has changed, but the habit has not. From waking up and reading newspapers, to having breakfast and watching news on the TV, to waking up and seeing the news pop up on your mobile phone. I remember going to university and going to work on public transport. As soon as I stepped on the bus or the train, everyone was buried in a newspaper. That was at the start when I was a student, but later on in life, everyone was buried in their phone. Why is this a problem? Well, because of a simple fact in that the news is never good. It is always bad news. You'll be reading about a terrorist attack, a school shooting, a gang war, a child sex ring, murder on the streets, rapes and sexual assaults, bombing and war. Nothing about this. If you are constantly filling yourself with such negativity, how can you feel anything but crap for the rest of the day? And don't forget, you're filling both your conscious and subconscious mind with this negativity. I mean, why would you even want to get out of bed or out of the house with such a dangerous and despicable world out there? You see, the news makes you think that the world is a terrible place. It makes you forget that, in fact, the world is actually a wonderful place. There's actually so much good out there, and things are not as bad as they make out. And instead of going out there with a sense of adventure and excitement and happiness, you feel stuck with fear and you don't really want to do many things. And even if you don't realize this at a conscious level, it's already impacted your psyche. It's already controlled your perception of reality. It's shaping your opinion of the world. It's affecting the decisions you make about what you should or should not do, or where you should or should not go. And worst of all, it can keep you in a state of panic and stress, which will then impact everything else that you do throughout the day. My advice is to avoid the news altogether, but certainly for the first hour or two of your day, do not read or watch the news. This brings us on to mistake number 3, which is remembering your problems. Almost all of us tend to do this incredibly harmful habit first thing in the morning. You know, have you ever noticed when you first wake up, the initial moments, you're disoriented and you're trying to figure out where you are? This is something you normally feel when you sleep somewhere where you normally don't. For example, at a friend's house, a hotel, or a different country. The first few moments when you wake up, you're disoriented, you're a bit confused, and you're trying to figure out what's going on and where you are. And then you remember, yes, I'm on a holiday, I'm at my friend's house, I'm at a family member's house, etc. So what's happening there? You're basically remembering where you are. But what's also happening, which most people don't give any thought to, is you remember who you are. And how does that happen? Well, your brain processes memory. In that disoriented state, the brain is working overtime and it's accessing the memories that you have inside your head. Those memories let you know who you are, where you live, what you do. But what is the default setting that most of us have? We remember our problems, we remember our pain, we remember our frustration. We think about all the stuff, all the bad stuff that happened yesterday, or the embarrassing things that happened last year or the year before. We start to think about the problems that we might have today. We start to think about problems which might happen in the future. We have this fear of, especially now with the virus and with everything that's going on around the world, there's a real fear that the apocalypse is coming. And with all of those thoughts, we're just creating more and more stress in our mind and in our bodies. And something I learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza is that once you start having these thoughts and releasing stress every single day, your bodies actually start getting used to the stress and they start getting addicted to the stress, and those hormones of stress then become a craving. Your body starts to crave them, and so you deliberately start to think even more negative to get those hormones of stress back into your bloodstream. And then it just becomes this vicious negative cycle where people are having thoughts like, I hate my job, I don't want to go into work today, I can't be bothered, I hate that person, I hate my manager, I hate my boss, I hate my client, I hate my colleagues, I hate the weather, I hate my life, I hate myself. You're basically setting yourself up for a very bad day. You're basically setting yourself up to start hating yourself. And as the saying goes, where focus goes, energy flows. Or is it where energy flows, focus goes? I can't even remember which way around it is, but the point is, because you're focusing on those things, that's what will come and happen in your day, because that's all you'll see because of the reticular activity system. I hope I pronounced that right. I can't really remember the word exactly, but the point is, what you focus on is what you'll see. So if you think negative, if you see negative, you're going to experience negative throughout the day. So what do? Well, as soon as you catch yourself thinking negative, stop, change the thought pattern, and force yourself to think happy and more positive thoughts. And that concludes the 3 mistakes people make every single morning. Just remember, when you're starting your day like this, what you're actually doing is preparing yourself for a very bad day. And what happens when you prepare for something? Chances are you're gonna get what you prepare for. So think about your morning routine, whether it's a deliberate routine or an automatic routine. Is it a positive one? Is it a negative one? Are you thinking good things or are you thinking bad things? Are you one of those that does one of the 3 things that I mentioned? Or maybe you do all 3 of those things. Either way, stop checking your phone, stop watching the news, and stop thinking negatively first thing in the morning. I promise you, you will have a positive impact in that you'll come to realize and understand you've got a lot more free time than you had than before, and you're also going to increase your focus and concentration skills. Use that free time to concentrate and focus on things that will make you happy. Take control of your morning, take control of your mind, take control of your life. Let me know in the comments below, what is your morning routine? Are you doing these things or are you not? Either way, give this video a thumbs up and make sure you hit the subscribe button. Until the next video, take care, bye bye.